enough. That's enough. You can sit down now. It's Kelly with an I, and her jacket is Kelly with a Y, green. I think I'm not that great at colors. And I also have my campaign manager, Nicole. She's filming right now, so she's not gonna get up and ruin the picture. But Nicole has a lot of experience in media and has been doing a great job. And actually, Nicole lives in Minot as well, so I've had both Kelly and Nicole at the house bossing me around. On the way down here, I called, bossing him around. Thank you. On the way down here, I called Cheryl Biller, and then I also called the chair of the Democratic Party, and here in Adam Goldwyn. And I asked them, I said, I'm going to be in front of the people in Bismarck. Do you have a message you want delivered? And it sounds like you guys are already responding to the message, but the message is this: contest every race. Everything from the city council, the park board, all the way on up, whether they are partisan races or not, we need people in them. Having you running for state legislature, filling the ballot all the way down helps us all. And I hope to be that energy at the top that helps bring more people into the state legislature. Now, here's a little secret. Well, maybe some of you know it in here, but if you really don't want to be in the state legislature and you put your name on the ballot, after the election, if you wait 2 months and then decide, no, I'm not going to the state legislature, the party gets to pick your replacement. So you could actually run for state legislature with no intention of ever doing that. How many people are here for the first time tonight? Look at that. Look at that. And we have been seeing that everywhere. Nicole, my campaign manager, is also now chair of the Souris Valley Dems, and we have grown from having 5 or 6 people at a meeting to having 35 to 75 at a meeting. We are building energy all across the state. I spoke in Valley City at a fundraiser. They raised $15,000 that night at a single fundraiser. So the energy is out there, and we've got this. Now, many of you I know read my Substack newsletter, and so most of you then know that my father passed away Saturday, 2 weeks ago today, and we had his funeral on Wednesday. And the silver lining is that my kids are spread out across the country, but my son Adam flew in from Washington, D.C., where he's a Navy doctor at Walter Reed Medical Center. My youngest, my daughter Francesca, flew up from the Texas Gulf Coast, where she works at a rehab facility for people for addiction, and she's working on her master's in counseling. My daughter, my middle child, Alexandra, couldn't make it. She's out in Washington State. Her husband was recently deployed on a destroyer. He has returned, and they're busy getting ready to move to Germany, where I plan to visit them. But Allie had called me the day after Dad died, and she asked me how I'm doing. And I said, well, it's kind of surreal, having both parents gone now. And Allie goes, oh, I'm not looking forward to that. And I'm like, you're not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to that, Allie. But, with Dad, it was a long, slow decline with dementia. Kelly and I worked very hard taking care of him until we couldn't anymore. And then we put him into assisted living. And then we sold the house. We sold the lumber yard that he and Mom had bought. And that money went towards the assisted living. And he had a defined benefit pension from the North Dakota State Highway Department, thank goodness. But that also was going to assisted living, and then more and more services, and then finally he ended up in the nursing home. And so that money got spent down, and finally it got down to that magic $3,000 mark. But then he died, so my financial inheritance is a bill for $43,000 from the nursing home. And when we were trying to get him on Medicaid, we were asked if we could cash in his prepaid funeral, if it was redeemable. These are the things they look back at. And you know how Congress could make this easier for families like mine. They could move that $3,000 up to $50,000, $60,000, even $100,000 and save families from this kind of financial turmoil. But no one in our federal delegation has ever given a second of thought to families like mine. They are shielded by their wealth from experiencing that kind of pain. Now, I didn't get a great big financial inheritance from my dad, but I did get another inheritance. And I can illustrate it with a story. I was in Iraq in 2003. I was in charge of security for a sector there. An Iraqi man came to our compound on the east side of the Tigris River looking for me. He wanted to give me information about weapons stores. And as we sat down, he said, "Major Hammer, I hear that you are a good and moral man." That I got from my dad. Now, I believe you are all here because you are good and moral people who want a good and moral country. You know that we have to be a good and moral country before we can dare to call ourselves great or great again. Now, at the Naval Academy, up at Memorial Hall, there's a blue flag with white lettering stitched on it, and the words stitched on it are, "Don't give up the ship." They're the final words of Captain James Lawrence as he lay dying on the deck of his ship, the USS Chesapeake, during the War of 1812. It's become a battle cry for the Navy, a statement of commitment. When I got back here in 2016, it seemed like maybe there wasn't that much life in the Democratic NPL party. I knocked thousands of doors for Heidi Heitkamp, and she lost. And so they began to write the obituary of the North Dakota Democratic NPL. But look at this. We did not go gently into that good night. We did not give up the ship. We are persisting. I believe that we will win. I truly believe that this could be the year. No, I believe that this will be the year. We must win for North Dakota because right now we have no voice in Washington, D.C. Recently, Kevin Cramer said that Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, should just give in to the DOJ, give up the ship, resign, instead of facing prosecution from a weaponized DOJ. Julie Fedorchak, when asked about the chaotic rollout of Elon Musk Doge, said, "Well, that's not the way I would do it." When asked about the barbaric behavior of ICE agents and the federal occupation of blue cities, she said, "Well, that's not the way I would do it." When a $300 million DHS contract was awarded to an LLC that had been in existence for only days, and then millions of that money went to South Dakota to Kristi Noem's friends to shoot a video of Kristi Noem on a horse at Mount Rushmore, Julie Fedorchak said nothing. When we need a strong voice to stand up to abuses, we get a shrug. Our federal delegation sits on their hands and keeps their mouths shut. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to see something and say something and do something. It's not that hard to say, my country is better than this. My party is better than this. I will not stand for it. Except that her party is not better than this, and we have seen that now. And when she has spoke up about something, what has it been? She chastised blue states for policies, she says, increase electrical prices. Has anyone in here had their electrical rates go down since Julie Fedorchak took office? No, mine have gone up. They have gone up across the state. Why is she worried about blue states and not North Dakota? The tariffs that she allowed amputated our ag markets, and now they offer a Band-Aid. Here's a bailout. Her big, beautiful bill shot a $137 billion hole in Medicaid. And what do they offer? Oh, $50 billion for rural health care. Recently, she put out a letter about the Olympics. And she had to say something about biological males competing in women's sports, which is a minuscule problem. And she frames it as protecting women. But those cuts to Medicaid in her big, beautiful bill, those cuts to SNAP in her big, beautiful bill will fall primarily on women and children. And as qualified, amazing women have been taken away, been removed from important positions in DOD and everywhere else, Julie Fedorchak has said nothing. I was talking to some of my Naval Academy classmates and found out, this summer marks 50 years of women at our service academies. That is a good thing. So there are going to be celebrations at the Naval Academy, at the Air Force Academy, and at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Except they're not having those celebrations on the grounds of our service academies. They've been moved off. Those who are still active duty have been discouraged from wearing their uniforms to those celebrations as if they are political events. What has Julie Fedorchak had to say about that? Nothing. There are women in this state that voted for Julie Fedorchak thinking she's a woman, she'll look out for us, and she has failed. We deserve better. North Dakota deserves better. My Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard family deserves better than Pete Hegseth and better than Kristi Noem. So I'm here to announce that we are going to be that better, and we are going to force that better. And if ever, I believe we're going to win. And if ever you start to doubt it, if ever you start to believe those premature obituaries, just remember, don't give up the ship. I'm Trygve Hammer. I'm asking for your support in my campaign for U.S. House and for your endorsement to be the Democratic candidate for Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Trygve. Elaine, thank you very much for being here.